It goes. All right, there we are. Happy Tuesday, happy live stream, happy Super Tuesday or whatever. I don't know, what is it considered, voting day?
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I forget.
End of the world.
Yeah, potentially. All right, we're gonna get started on the old Instagram too, and we are live there. So if you have questions at any point through the interview, you can just pop them into the comments on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, and we will get to them. All righty, give me a second here. Hello and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream, where we discuss music, the local Lehigh Valley, PA scene and beyond, bands, social media, and more. Today is Tuesday, November 5th. My name is Mike, and I'm the guitarist and vocalist of Bellwether Ritual. Hope you had an awesome week. I know Halloween was kind of all over the place because it was in the middle of the week. We had some really great shows on the 25th and the 27th at the Gem in Spring City, PA, and also at John and Peter's in New Hope, where we dressed like WrestleMania theme. So that's going to be released soon, but there's some pictures out. It was a hot mess, but damn, was it fun. So check that out when we release it. We have a website, bellwetherritual.com. Please give that a look when you have a second, and like and subscribe if you like do here. And just a reminder to support local musicians. Oh, and a big one. This is a really special one. Richard Genziak, Sir Richard Slouch. He's a radio host on WMUH down here. He is very ill, and the community is doing a fundraiser for him called Slouch Fest, which is this Saturday. I think it's the 9th, and it starts at 5 p.m. and it's at the Sokals in Bethlehem, PA. So please come down, donate, hang out, and celebrate Rich. All right, tonight our guest is Popko. Popko runs the Popko Project, an award-winning podcast that features interviews with Breaking Benjamin, Everclear, Tantric, Cold, and more. He also has the Popko Project radio experience, which is a 1-hour show on Fuzz 96.1, where he features music from bands in and around Northeast Pennsylvania. We'll talk about all that and more. Popko, thank you. I know this has been kind of a long time coming, so really appreciate you being patient and finally getting you on here. Excited to have you. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, but am I frozen? Am I
Oh,
frozen?
maybe. No, I hear you.
All right. Well, my face is frozen on the screen.
I see you.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, so I've been having a day too. Like my internet has been in and out all day. We'll make the best of it. No worries.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This has been a long time in the making.
Yes, it has. Yeah, we really appreciate you like sticking with us and finally getting to this. Yeah, is there anything you want to plug right off the top? I know you got a whole lot of stuff going on. Just give everyone an idea where they can find your stuff, or what you got coming up.
Yeah, I mean, everything on socials is the Popko Project. And you said earlier that I play music from in and around NEPA, and I feel like you're on the fringe there. So I don't know why I haven't had any of your stuff sent my way.
That's a good point. We just released our latest EP in July, so yes, you're right. That's on us. So we will get that over to you immediately.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Please do.
Yeah.
But yeah, all socials, the Popko Project, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. It's really, it's under the Popko Project. It's pretty simple to find. I guess it's a unique name according to people out there. So
Yes, yeah, it's easy to search, which is great.
yeah, it's one of those things. Like when I first started the podcast, it wasn't. I didn't want my name on it, but people smarter than me, specifically Josh Balls, who was formerly Emotionless and White, and he has the Ritz Theater here in Scranton. He's like, dude, so many people know who you are already. Like you're already like branded. Like you have to keep your name in there. I'm like, all right, I get it. So
Yeah, I think he's right. And that's always kind of the hardest part. Maybe we could go right into that actually. Branding and names and such too, like for bands. I always feel like that's the hardest thing to kind of because it's like it's before really kind of before anything else, and you're trying to kind of set a direction or a tone with it. Yes, I think sometimes it's really difficult. I've had that problem in the past with band names as well. Just it's always a struggle.
yeah, I think I'd have to like. I think I hate the most when like hardcore bands have that like I don't even know what to call it, but that like thrashy or scripty and like almost like spiderweb
Oh yeah,
fonts.
yeah. It's like all over the place.
Like, I mean, so I get it. I mean, I immediately know what your music is without even hearing it, but I also don't know what your name is.
Yeah, yeah. I get the vibe, but I can't read it.
Yeah, it's like what is this slime? I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah.
But
Um, yes, I agree. So that was something that always came up too. Is like, all right, it's kind of weird to have to put your brand kind of before the brand is actually fully developed. So that's cool that you were able to use your name. And yeah, it's great because you come up in all the searches and all that good stuff. Are you from the area originally?
yeah, so I was born and raised in northeastern Pennsylvania. I grew up in a small town called Hunlock Creek,
Hmm.
a little bit outside Sweet Valley. I went to high school at Lake Lehman. I went to college at King's College in Wilkes-Barre, and then right from there, I jumped into the media scene, and I've been in it ever since 2004. I took two hiatuses, I guess you could say. We can get into that if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so I have a 20 year career in media with like a 6 month break and then a 3 year break before I just got back into it recently, um, just back in March. So it keeps sucking me back in. I mean, I love it. I love, being in it and doing stuff like this. And I guess it's just become a part of who I am.
Yeah. It's like the things that you like. I always say this to because people are like, "Oh, what should I do with my life?" And you always got to do what you love, which is true. But the real place where that kind of shines is when things get tough. You're gonna do it because you love it and not because it's something that you get paid a lot of money to do or this, that, and your other thing. Like that's the kind of thing that carries you through those tough times for sure.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate that I get to be in something that I love to do, and get paid to do it. So it's it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Just a couple quick people saying hello.
What's up?
I want to get them on and just say hi back.
Can I disable my camera really quick and see if I can enable it again and maybe
Yep,
it'll come back?
absolutely. Yeah, no problem. And while he's
Hopefully
doing
it'll.
that, I'm gonna just throw
All right.
some of these.
It worked.
What's that?
It worked.
Oh, the audio.
No, the can't. Like I can see myself now.
Oh, okay. Your audio is a little crackly, so maybe try
Mine
to.
is.
Yeah, maybe try. Can you just turn your microphone off, or and then maybe back on? Just want to shout out some people over on Instagram. Angel, thank you for joining. Lord's House, thank you for joining. Crybaby Cult, Bryrex, and Brian Wagner, thank you for joining, our photographer. Always nice to see you on here. And Crybaby Cult says he's not frozen on ours. Mike is a little bit uh, glitchy. So yeah, give that a shot. We'll get that straightened out as we go. This is the joy of live streaming, is that we hit go and then we kind of uh,
Is that
yeah,
better?
figure
Is
things.
this
Yeah,
better?
that is better. Yeah, that is
Okay.
better. Thank you for that.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, great. Yeah, okay. And then so what was the thing? So I want to circle back to taking a break too, because I had to take a break as well. I think it was about 6 years. I was just like, I I want to try something else, go do something else. But like you're saying, I got pulled back in because this is what I love to do. So yeah, was it were you like changing direction or changing careers or something, trying something new? How'd that work out?
Yeah, it was just a different form of marketing.
Oh, cool.
I was in media, like I said, from 2004, and then 2013. No, 2013 came along. I'm sorry, no, 2014.
Hmm.
So maybe like that's 10 years. And so I started off at the Weekender. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what the Weekender is, it was a print publication, came out every Wednesday. It was like the Bible, before Facebook and the internet kind of took over. Um, and I think it could have a place today. I just don't know how it would work, but it would come out every Wednesday, and it was the Bible in that, like, every bar, every venue, every restaurant, and anything going on. It was just 80 some pages, sometimes 100 pages of just like things to do in the area, primarily bars
Wow,
and
every
and
week?
every week. We published every week.
Wow.
Started in 1993. and it was just it was a monster. It was, I mean, I got my first job there as an intern there, and when I first started, I got paid to party. It was incredible.
Sounds
But like,
dangerous, actually.
I didn't die. I'm still here. So I mean, I met my wife there. Like, I mean,
Oh,
like
that's great.
not there, but like, as part of the whole weekender thing is how I met her, because we had a feature called Model of the Week, and I was fortunate enough to kind of have to find the models of the week, and
Mhm,
also the men of the week too. I had to find both, but
mhm.
as a 22-year-old kid, you're like, hey, I think you're really attractive. Like, why don't you be
Yeah,
model of the week? And that was like the first page people would turn to, you know.
yeah, of course.
And yeah, it was that page and then page 3. But yeah, just full of entertainment ads, and but yeah, people would get it and they're like, all right, Thursday there's dollar beers at this bar, we're going there, and then Friday we're gonna go here because so and so's playing, and Saturday we're going here because this band's playing, and it really got people moving in our area, and it was just such an amazing thing to be part of. And I actually had the founder of the Weekender on my podcast.
Oh, cool.
Uh, I don't know what episode that was, and I can't reference it quickly enough, but yeah. So it's a shame what happened to it, and the funniest thing about it was, like, we tried, entering the digital age ahead of the curve. Like,
Mm,
we were doing, like, not live stuff, but we were posting content before content was a thing.
mhm.
And the company was trying to push us towards digital, but they would, you got to go this way. But they're like, well, what's our, is there money to help us do these things? Well, no, 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 there's not that. We can't do
Yeah,
that.
right. But you
So,
have to get this done. Yeah.
yeah, I forget what the question was at this point, but no, yeah. So why I took a break. So I started there. I went from intern. I got hired full time as the marketing and sales associate,
Mhm,
and then I spent some time, like a couple years, doing that. And the partying was fun. It was great, but it didn't pay anything.
mm,
And then since I was a sales assistant as well, I saw the amount of money the sales reps were making.
yeah.
And there was a girl, her name was Katie. She was leaving, and she had the biggest territory, the some of the best accounts, and I had known all of her accounts already because I was working with them to do promotions and stuff at their bars.
Mhm.
So when she left, I applied for that job, and it was a very seamless transition because I already knew everybody.
Yeah.
So then I got into sales, and I think I gave myself like a $20,000 raise that year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wild. So, and I was still young, so I was still partying, but now I'm making money and all this kind of stuff. But that was in 2007 when I got into sales, and then 2008 came and the economy crashed. So I mean, that changed everything too. And we were going out. I mean, you could say, oh, this full page ad in the Weekender is $700, and people would just pay on the spot in cash.
Yep.
When 2008 came, it was like everything was a negotiation. Everyone
Yes.
pulled back their ad dollars. It's like,
Mm,
all right, I'll take $500 for a full page now, and it just kind of got crazy. But I pushed through that, and so I was in sales, and then I got promoted to the director of sales in 2009, and then the GM left in 2012, and kind of similar. I was kind of next in line, and I knew the product front to back, and
mhm.
I was kind of able to seamlessly step into her role as the general manager. And I did that for about a year, and the company was then sold to an outside, you know, big company that moved all the production and everything out of northeastern Pennsylvania, and I think it was North Carolina at the time, and they didn't care. The bottom line was the most important thing, and so it just lost a huge sense of community and just that human touch, and I did that for about a year, and I said, you know what, maybe it's time for me to leave. When I was an intern, I actually said, like, one day I want to be the GM of this newspaper,
Yeah.
and I did it. And every when they moved production, like, I was every week I would be like, hey, Mike from Bruise Brothers, your ad was supposed to be color, but it ran black and white. I'm sorry. I'll give you a full page at black and white cost, but I'll give you a full color.
Mhm.
Or your ad was supposed to be a full page, it ran half page. Like, I'll give you a free one next week. And it was just every single week. It was constantly like saying sorry, saying sorry, saying sorry. And I'm like, you know what? I've built my reputation, you know, honesty and follow through and all that kind of stuff over the past 9-10 years. I'm done. I'm out of here. Maybe it's just time for me to leave because I did everything I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so I saw a job posting for a sales rep in radio, and I met with the company I'm currently with now, and we kind of started there. It was weird too because I actually got locked out of the building when I put my 2 weeks in, and because I was technically going to a competitor. It was not a competing medium, but it was the weekender was owned by one newspaper group, and then the other radio stations were owned by a different media group, and they were technically competitors, so they felt that I had to be walked out immediately. And I cried, man. Like it was a weird moment. It all happened abruptly. It happened fast.
Mhm.
I don't regret any of it. It just it was an unfortunate situation, but it all turned out pretty good because I'm where I am now. So so I got into radio, and I was thinking like I want to get out of management too because when you're in management and you're overseeing a team of people, like it's no longer your headache. It's your headache. Like it's if you have a team of 10 people, like their headaches are now your headache too. So it was just like a lot, and I was like, I'll just get back into sales. And the state one of the stations I was working for was kind of like the audio equivalent of what the Weekender was. And I was like, I have a lot of relationships. Like, this might be pretty seamless. Um, so I made the move. Is this cracking again?
Yeah, a little bit.
Man, mine is.
Yeah.
Man, is it too high? I apologize.
No, you're good. Trust me, this is the live stream experience.
This is why I don't live stream because I don't know how to troubleshoot this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to edit any more video. That's why we live stream. I can't.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, I can't do anymore. So, but yeah, we'll clip it up afterwards too, for sure.
Here, let's try this. I don't know if that's any better or not.
No, unfortunately not. Want to a quick shout out, Center Mass Universe. Thank you for joining on the old Instagram. If you got questions over there, you can drop them in, and we will get to them. Let's see here. I know I just asked you this before. So where does your like was there a first thing in that you can remember that kind of set you off into music? Was there a person in your life, a song on the radio, or something that got you kind of started?
Music in general, I grew up listening to it with, from my parents.
Hmm.
I just remember just always being around it. My mom and dad playing it in the house, in the car, and it was just always a part of my life. And I remember, back I'm old. I'm 42. I just turned 42 a couple days ago, and
Happy birthday.
thanks. I
Mhm.
used to, get a tape player ready to hit record to record songs off the radio.
Yes, me too.
You know? Yeah, I mean that's how old we are.
Yeah,
But yeah, capturing my favorite songs like that was like creating like a mixtape, like that was like the OG playlist, right?
for sure.
Um,
That's probably one of the best presents I got was a radio that has a tape recorder, like microphone in it. It was awful sound quality, but you could record whatever sounds. It was amazing.
yeah, I mean, it just music always like had this like impact on me, and
Mhm.
never to the point where I wanted to play it though. I remember even my mom, she wanted me to take banjo lessons, and I had no interest in that.
Yeah,
I was playing baseball and basketball, and looking back, I wish she would have like sat me down and kind of like listen. your dad's 5'9" on a good day. I'm 5'6", and it's not in the cards for you.
Yeah,
Put this guitar in your hand, because that'll last you forever.
sure. Do you ever
But
think
yeah,
about like starting it up now?
see, everyone asks me that. I say that a lot on my shows even. Just not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
It's working full time, and everyone says that's an excuse. It's really not. Like, I work full time. I come home. I have two kids, 6 and 2. My kids in summer baseball, fall baseball.
Mhm.
And it's very important for me to come home, and we have family dinner together. We do homework, baths if it's bath night. We read the books before bed. We play board games before bed, and it's very important for me to be present. And so, even doing a podcast, I do that at night when they're in bed.
Mhm.
Um, but when I'm not doing the podcast and with my kids, like, believe it or not, like, I really enjoy spending time with my wife.
Cool.
Sitting on the couch, whether we're watching junk TV or
Mhm.
talking about our lives and how work was and our futures and our children's futures. Like, that's important to me too. So add another thing to it's not in the cards.
That's it. I hear you. That's what I'm like. I hit my limit with this. Like we can live stream. That's cool. But as far as like, and do you? So talk a little bit about your podcast too. Like, are you doing? You do significantly a significant amount of time. Do you go back through and cut all that together, or is it just recorded and then if everything's good, you just release it like that, or how's that work?
I don't touch anything. It's completely unedited. It probably sounds like my microphone's pretty decent when it's not clipping like it has been, I guess, tonight. Um, well, and when I started it, I'm like, oh, I'll be talking to musicians. They'll come with like a good setup. And I think I recorded episode 210 last week,
Wow.
and I can count on one hand how many musicians came with a professional mic setup like I have.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it doesn't sound as great as I would like it to, but I mean, the amount of people I've been talking to are, people that don't live near here. So, it's kind of is like the way to do it.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I always say one day I'll get like real pro with it, but with my kids being the age they are, me doing it at night, and it's convenience is the biggest thing for me, and it's
Mhm.
been it's been convenient for my guests too, just because, like, they've got kids and families too, so it's cool for them to do it at night, and it all kind of works out for now, and we'll see where it goes.
Very cool. So you had mentioned print before. So I started off in print and then quickly went to web and then have recently, well, not anymore, but my last job was back in the print world. Um, and like you said, it was just kind of it's weird because print does connect with a very specific audience in a very strong way that doesn't that can kind of cross over into digital, but doesn't always. Yeah, I'm just curious. Like you had mentioned that the company had want you to move more digitally. Do you think there's still a place for print for this kind of stuff, or?
I think there is, if it's done in a creative way,
Mhm.
and I don't know what that way is. I'm not smart enough, I don't think.
Mhm.
Because there's something cool about it being tangible. It's just, I don't know how you would make money off of it, because of the fact that, like, people wouldn't want to pay for ads, and because it's the common theme is, print is dead, and that's not wrong. It's just, you have to make something worthwhile. Um,
Mhm.
but the whole landscape of people, like, and, entertainment and people going out and doing stuff is completely different than it was.
It's
You
crazy how
know,
much it's changed.
I don't know what kids are doing anymore. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they're going. I don't know if they're just staying home and having house parties and getting drunk with their friends, or I think
Mhm.
a lot of people aren't even drinking anymore these days. I think they're smoking pot, or they're just
That's true.
sober,
Yeah.
and that's not a knock on that. Like, good for you.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would encourage you to, I don't say, I want to say, like, I might just unplug this.
Yeah, that's fine. what one of the things, oh, I always say too, like, yeah, when it comes to content, people are really pretty, I find anyway, the actual, I don't want to say the quality of the content, but the quality of like the audio frequencies or the resolution of the video. They don't really care as much about that if the content is high quality content. They just kind of glaze over that point. So yeah, I'm sorry, where were you?
Oh, we were talking about what kids do these days, and
Yes.
you know, but I'm not saying drink for 20 years, but I mean have some beers, like let loose a little bit. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I think some people need that social lubricant to a degree to kind of just like talk to that girl they might not talk to without it, or just kind of like make not stupid decisions. I mean, some people are stupid, right? But like just do stuff that you may not have done before. It's I think I've benefited to a degree of knowing my limits, but like you know having that little bit of a you know I don't know what to call it, but it just I don't know. So long story, I don't know what kids are doing anymore. I think they're just kind of healthier, which is great. They're not drinking. They're at home and doing smoking pot or eating gummies or whatever they're doing. Good for them. That wasn't an option for us back then. We only had
Yeah, really.
only option was booze,
Yeah, well, I mean, you could, but there was a jail sentence that
of
could go
course,
along with that too.
which made it
It just
fun. That
there's,
made it fun too.
you sure?
That added to the experience.
Of course.
But I mean, yeah, so I don't even know like what they're doing, and even radio that I'm in now
Yeah.
is has been affected obviously by Spotify's and all that kind of stuff. But I think it still has a strong place, and I'm hoping that like it almost becomes like a record did when they came back.
Yeah.
These young kids will like put like wait a minute, I could there's radio like and it just plays random things, and there's a DJ and they talk about stuff that's going on in my area. Like this is pretty sweet. I don't know.
So I guess, I mean, we kind of are there already, which is what I don't understand. Like playlists are basically like curated, like that's what a DJ would do. And now everything's all playlisted out. I know that's like they're more kind of permanent or whatever, but I mean, yeah, I miss right now what I'm missing is the discovery part. Then I know I could go search or find a playlist or whatever, but it's much easier when I know someone like you, if you have a certain like taste or like I connect with what you connect with, I know I can go to you and listen to the radio and be exposed to all sorts of new stuff. So I think that is definitely kind of an element that's missing.
Yeah, I mean the problem with radio to a degree is you're not going to have that super diverse or eclectic list. Like
Mm. Yeah.
those commercial radio stations, they play songs based on research that proven data that says like these are the songs that people want to hear.
Hmm.
That's why if you turn on classic rock stations, which is another station I work for, which is Rock 107, like people will kind of complain about, oh, you don't play any deep cuts of X, Y, or Z. It's like because you're the only person that wants to hear it. Like, sorry, in that sense, I guess go put on Spotify. But
Hmm.
there's a reason why top 40 stations you'll hear the same song every hour or two. It's just
Hmm.
because that's what's shown, and I mean, I don't agree with all that to an extent. It's I think especially for a station like Fuzz that I work for, Fuzz 96.1,
Hmm.
there's a lot of leniency and risks you can take because it's kind of what's expected at that station, and that's
Cool.
why I'm able to have that hour radio show on Saturday nights to play our local artists.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a weird thing, like, and maybe I'm not smart enough to figure it all out, but I think there's a place for it. Like you said, there's something special about not knowing what's coming up, and like
Yeah.
if you're on a Spotify playlist, like all that's going to be kind of like in the same vein, right? Like all it's going to be like kind of similar in a way. But when you're on a radio station and you have a DJ or whatever, doing that stuff, it's going to be different.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. What else did I was taking notes furiously before. Talk about, you've had some really big bands on your show. Can you maybe just talk a little bit about that experience? Does that make you nervous at all? Or are these people your friends that you're just like, yeah, just jump on a show? How does that work?
Uh, I still get nervous. I was nervous to do this tonight. I mean, I've been very lucky. I'm friends with the guys in Breaking Benjamin, so that was an easy one for me.
Yeah, cool.
Um, I'm friends with Tiger's Jaw.
Yeah.
So long story short, I do know a lot of them, but like Everclear, I don't even know how that happened. I think I just messaged their PR team and got lucky,
Mhm.
and that was and same with the Verve Pipe and Tantric and a lot of these '90s bands, and it's kind of cool because they're more accessible now.
Mhm.
They're not it's not the '90s. They're not touring the world like they used to,
Right.
which is benefit for me. Um, Sad for them, but I'm sure they're doing just fine. But um, if you told 15-year-old John he would interview Art from Everclear, he'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like,
I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
there's,
Yeah, it was cool.
and I started that. I pronounced his last name wrong.
Uh,
I'm like, God, like this is like here's like one of like the like my one of my top 10 favorite bands growing up, and I just said this guy's last name wrong.
it's
I mean,
not
I've been
easy.
saying it wrong for the past like 20 years. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I have one like that too. They're not easy. No one gets them right, really.
Yeah, it's I said it was a Lexicus, and it's
Mm. Oh, really? I got it wrong too then. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
yeah. But it's like one of those things too. It's maybe I should have done some research prior. Like how have I not heard his last name in any interview over the 20 years?
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of stuff too. Those are hard too because like what do you ask them that they haven't been asked already in 20 years?
Right.
Right? It's like how do you? So those are difficult in that sense because like I want to hear them because I'm like have an opportunity to talk to them for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but I also don't want it to be boring for them and boring for a new listener. So those are pretty difficult. So it's very nervous. I get very nervous, and um, but yeah, it's been pretty incredible. Like a lot of my focus and a lot of my guests are local regional artists, but a lot of them have been across the country lately. It's been kind of interesting. I haven't done a local artist to NEPA probably since August,
Yeah, very cool.
which is cool. But it's also like I don't want people to think like, oh, he's above us now, or he doesn't do that anymore.
Mhm.
I've done 210 episodes. I've done a lot of the local scene,
I
and
wanna ask you about that too, because we're in the '80s somewhere. I don't know, I lost count a while ago, and, like, to hear that, it's just like, "Oh, man, that's impressive for sure."
yeah, it's it. I love doing it. I don't get paid to do it. It's a very much a passion thing, and again, it's convenient because it's at night when I'm not doing anything else.
Mhm.
So that lends itself to to be able to do it. But yeah, it's been and when I feature bigger names, like I in my opinion, that's just going to help the the local artists because my thinking is if they find the podcast because of Art from Everclear,
Oh, it's great. That's a great
maybe
point.
they find you know uh, Sweet Nest from NEPA or whoever it might be. That's my thinking. That's why I wanted to build it. And no one gives a shit about the arts, man. Like I'm sure you can relate to that to a
Yes.
degree, you know. And I like to think that you know, am I saving the world? No. Am I reaching you know 20 million people like Joe Rogan? No. But
Yeah.
hopefully I'm making an impact, and I think I am. I have people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, I want to be on your show. How do I make this happen?" So, that means a lot to me to be able to do that.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to see if we're still having a little bit of a mic issue. So I just want to reset something on my side and see if it's on our side really quickly. Hold on one sec. All right. Can you give that a test and just see if that's any different?
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Still getting distorted for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Let's see here.
I don't.
So I have a couple other quick questions. I just want to shout out really quickly. SR Tilly, thank you for joining on Instagram. Making Friends as Adults, also thank you for joining on Instagram.
I feel very badly about this.
What's that?
I said I feel very badly about this. This is not.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me. This happens. So, how about So I want to talk a little bit about the younger crowd and their music listening skills, but or music listening preferences, but also when you're doing these interviews, do you ever think like, oh, how am I gonna like fill all this time, or how do I keep people's interest for this amount of time? Is that ever something that kind of pops into your head, or is that you just kind of like going and making it happen?
It's for sure. Can you hear me?
What's that?
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
but yeah, it's still getting a little
I don't know.
see difference from stream maybe sounds like clock noise, maybe not.
That's
All
weird.
right, well, we'll take a look at that.
Is
Yeah,
this better or worse?
I can still hear it. Yeah.
Shit.
Can you set the little gear setting to? Did you have that on computer speaker before?
Oh yeah. Hold on.
I wonder. It might be an
Yeah.
internet
Hold on.
thing too, potentially. But yeah, so I guess anyway, the question why I'm asking is that's something I'm always terrified about is like getting people on here and then be like, all right, what are we going to talk about? Like, you don't necessarily. We all have similar interests. That's why we're doing this. But sometimes it's a little nerve wracking to be like, all right, how am I going to fill this amount of time? And then once people start talking, it just kind of flows. But yeah, sometimes I wonder like, all right, what is there something I can be doing or questions I can be asking to not only keep the guests engaged, obviously, but the listeners and the people in the chat as well?
Yeah. I mean, I always go in. I go to every episode, and I don't do a lot of research. I find it to be helpful that I kind of go in organically and I kind of do fact finding, so that the listener almost kind of learns with me, um,
Mm.
which I think is a good thing and a bad thing. Because like a fan of a band could be like, how does this idiot not know about this guy's wife and who had cancer and whatever it might be. Like I didn't
Oh
go
yeah.
that deep. I didn't go that deep into their history because I do want to just kind of have it happen organically. And I also go into it. I do it with the thought that maybe no one else is listening, and I don't care. Like I'm doing it for me. The artists have fun. I think it's valuable for those who want to find value in it. So I try not to get
Mhm.
too caught up in the you know how is this going to be so awesome. And maybe that's a detriment to me. I don't know. But I think that helps with the conversation.
I was gonna say I wouldn't take it that way at all. I mean, you have 210 episodes in the library. It sounds like it's doing pretty well. It's interesting because I do try to do a little bit of digging and just kind of obviously catch the vibe and all that kind of stuff. But to your point, like you can't always do that. And I like that you're saying like you're kind of bringing the listener along with you who might not know as much as well. So you're coming from a similar point of view, which
Yeah.
helps connect with the audience, obviously.
Yeah. So one thing that I've been told, when I started the radio show, I had never done an air shift before that. Like I have no business being on the radio to a degree. And I mean, like, and I started this out of. I mean, we can get into it, but I started this because the show got canceled because the station flipped format.
Sure, yeah.
Where the hell was I going with this? I was oh, people, if they heard me originally on air, like, yeah, I wasn't a polished DJ. I didn't have that like tonight on 95. I was never like that. Um, I people said to me like you sound genuine, like you sound
Yeah.
like you genuinely care about what you're playing and who you're playing and that's one thing I'm very like proud of. Like no one can take that from me. I don't. I'm not an afternoon DJ on a top 40 station. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that at all. But like that's not who I am. It's not what I do.
Yeah.
It's not what I want to do. Like I want to do a podcast. I want to highlight musicians that hopefully blow up one day, and maybe I'm the guy they're like, oh, you know what, you were one of the first guys who gave me a chance, or whatever it might be, and that for me would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think you definitely are. One of the things I've realized just by doing this with local bands too is a lot of this is a lot of people's first interviews. So that you don't even have the experience yet of having people fire off random questions about your band or all that kind of stuff. So it's a great kind of like playground in one regard, and yeah, kind of breaking the ice there a little bit with that and getting them used to that. And I think a lot of uh, people, especially in their first couple interviews, are like, "So, tell me about this," and they're like, "Yeah, it was great." Do you
That's
ever have? Do
tough.
you ever?
Those are tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you talk about that? Like, how do you pull that stuff out of people who maybe don't know? Hey, I'm gonna set you up with something, and then you just kind of go with it and take it where it is.
I'm trying. There's been one or two out of the total count that were hard,
Mhm.
and I can't think of them specifically. Um, but yeah, those are. I mean, I get more nervous than they do at that point because it's like, how am I going to get? It's funny. I always say like 10 minutes in, like, how am I going to get through this?
Yeah,
How am I going to get to 30 minutes? And before I know it, we're at like 50.
yeah, exactly.
So I mean, either they loosen up and kind of pull the wall down, or I'm just an amazing interviewer, which I'm sure that's not the case. It's
Hey,
probably
take
them.
credit for it, man.
They're no, but it's important to kind of like let them know it's just a conversation. Like, and I always kind of joke like, I'm like, dude, like, there's 5 people listening to this. Don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah,
and you kind of like make fun of yourself to kind of let them, kind of let their wall down and, or just. But I mean, there's people that they just aren't good interviews. Like, they're just
yeah.
not. I'm probably one of those. I mean, like, it's
Oh,
just,
stop.
it's. I don't have any crazy story. I don't have like any, um, started from the bottom. Now I'm here, or anything like that. There's not much depth to me to a degree, right? But like, I like to think that. I mean, if you knew me in high school, I think there's probably a lot of people in high school that are like, "How the fuck is he doing what he's doing now?" Because like I would just like I was very shy. Like I didn't really have a lot of confidence. Like
Yeah.
just I was friends with everybody, but I was never in the cool kids club. I was never in the quote unquote losers club, and that's probably not appropriate to say in 2024, but just to paint a picture.
Yeah, that's crazy in a whole nother regard. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, I just kind of like stayed in the middle. Like I was never like outgoing or, you know. So it's talking about it out loud. I'm kind of like maybe like hyping myself up a little bit just in my mind because I have come a long way and I'm nowhere near Howard Stern or like Rogan or anything like that. But
Mhm.
I'm hoping to find my place in this internet that is so big.
Yeah. So maybe just one more time with your mic, and just also, would you have like specific goals in mind for the podcast? Are there like bands so like you're like, oh, I would love to get them or this, that, and the other thing. I'm always interested to hear that kind of stuff. Like, what are you aiming for? Are you aiming for like 500 episodes? Or are you just gonna go until they're done?
I My goal is to and I'm close. My goal is to. How's that? Any better?
Yes, thank you very much.
Hopefully it stays. Um, I want to interview an artist by the name of Pete Yorn.
Pete
Um,
Yorn?
Pete Yorn.
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So I was back and forth. He's like one of my favorite artists. Like
Mhm.
I came across him in 2003, and he was like the when he came out with the second record. So I was able to find that record, and then the one he put out before that, and that was my summer soundtrack. It was the best summer I ever had,
Mhm.
but like as far as friends goes and
What was his
relationships.
single? Uh,
Life on a Chain was one of them.
yes, that was it.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, good
yeah,
song.
great song. That album from the back, and then his follow up to that was great. And I mean, they're all really good. I mean, there's maybe one that I was like, okay, this is a throwaway. And but I mean, end of the day, that summer of my life was just a really, I don't want to say coming of age. That sounds corny, but just that summer was just like I had friends that left to go from Penn State, Wilkes-Barre to like main campus. So like there was just all these things were happening around us, and it was just an amazing summer. And that he was tied to every single one of those moments, and I've just been following ever since. I've seen him a bunch live, and front row a couple times, and I was talking to his people. Actually, he responded to like a tweet or a message, a Facebook message or something like that a few years ago, and responded to me. And he's like, "Yeah, reach out to so and so that I'm interested. Like they'll set it up." And I was back and forth with a couple times, and then it fell apart.
Mm.
Turns out his uncle lives about a half hour from where I do. His uncle is neighbors with very good friends of mine. So I'm setting up a meeting with the uncle, and I'm hoping to parlay that into an interview with Pete Yorn eventually.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's
So,
amazing how small the world is,
oh
really. I mean,
yeah,
how big it is, but how small it is at the same time. It's just
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, as far as my goals for the pod, I mean, I want to be a leader or a go to. Like, hey, if I have a new record coming out, like, let's list of things to do to
Mhm.
help promote the record. You have your social media management, you have X, Y. Get on the Popko project. Like,
Yeah.
have that be like a stop on the media trail. Just that's the ultimate goal. Just to be an outlet for musicians, because like we said earlier, like no one gives a shit about the arts. Like I don't want to like blow myself here, but I mean I went as far as like creating a beer. Now
Oh,
again,
cool.
a beer, it has my face on it, it has my name on it. But we took all the proceeds from this beer. I partnered with a company. It's called Back Mountain Brewing.
Mhm.
Um, they were the husband and wife were a year ahead of me in school, in high school, and then we took all the proceeds from the sale of this beer, and we gave it to the high school music program I went to high school at. So
Very cool.
I was able to fill a dream because I used to home brew. So now I was in a brewery brewing
Oh,
beer. I was physically helped. Um, got my own beer. It's called Popko's Porter. This was a couple years ago, but and then I was also able to do something good with it. And that's also the goal of this podcast is not just to be, you know, um, a podcast, but I call it a vehicle for good. Um,
Mm.
when I first launched it, I did a program called Shirts for the Scene, and what I did is I collected over 100 different band logos. I worked with a local screen printing shop, which I actually worked for 3 years after the fact. Um, and we created this online web store where it was during COVID, so like I was like, okay, these bands, when you're doing a benefit show, what's the first thing you do?
Fi Figure out who you're giving the money to and what
Yes,
bands you're booking?
what bands are playing. So what band can we get to play? Because they're going to draw people in. People will spend $15, and when you ask a band, hey, you mind doing a half hour, 45 minute set? It's for Jimmy. He's got cancer. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
of
problem.
course. Yeah, yeah.
100%. Sign me up. Let me know if I could do more. So for the first time, I felt that when we were in the middle of COVID, so for the first time in a band's life, they can't play shows, therefore they can't sell merch, they
Yeah.
can't do any of these things. So I was like, now is the time for us to pay it back to them.
Mhm.
And how do we do that? Right? We can't go to the show. We can't, you can buy merch and CDs and stuff online. But
Mhm.
I built this store with the help of a company called Axelrad Screen Printing, and with just over 100 bands, and you can buy a T-shirt with the band's logo on it, and the proceeds, the screen printing company would if it was $10 a shirt, maybe it was $2 or $3 in production, and the rest went right to the band.
Mhm.
Um, so I think we almost did almost $10,000. I want to say
Wow, that's awesome.
that we raised for the local music scene. So yeah, so I wanted this to be a platform and a place that like not only features the artists but also helps them financially if it presents itself, or doing stuff like the beer. And listen, this this is all time and effort out of my day. Like, I don't make any money doing these things,
Yeah.
but I also it's I benefit from you know hopefully it's just like, hey, like he's doing it because he cares, and that's what I really want to get across to people. I do these things not for any other reason but to to show how much I care and how much I am behind the scene and music in general. And again, at the end of the day, if people see that and people see value out of that, then I could as long and my kids or people know that, or my kids know that I was a good guy and I did all the right things and I impacted the community, and that's all I really care about.
Mhm. Very cool. All right, so can you just I'm sorry about this, one more time with the mic, and we have a very important follow-up question that I was gonna ask you anyway, but, someone already did here, and, let me just pull it up here. And I'm sorry if I'm gonna pronounce your name wrong, Buongustachio, maybe? What kind of beer do you like brewing, or did you like brewing?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? You cut out when I was like hooking back up.
Oh, sure, yeah. So, Buongustachio, asks what kind of beer, was it, uh do you have, like, an IPA or a porter? What was your fave?
So the beer that we made was Popko's Porter, and it was a coffee porter.
Oh,
So
that
not
sounds
only not only did I hook up with a local brewery, we also used a local coffee company. So I was able to really kind of
oh,
create this
man, yeah.
community thing. So we it was I think it was 400 cans. We made 400 16-ounce cans, and it sold out in a day and a half.
Very cool. Was that, like, your fave to brew when you brewed too?
When I was doing home brewing, it was really basic stuff like pilsners. I did a
Yeah,
red ale one time, and that was back in 2010. And again, very much a hobby. I wish we would have kept
yeah.
with it, but it was one of those things where it's like you do it, you spend all the time doing it. It's almost like the yield you get on it. It's almost just worth paying the money for a case of beer that you know is going to be good every time. But it was fun.
Alright, very cool. So, we're just at about an hour. I have just one more quick question for you, and then I just want you to let everyone know where they can find you, again. Any advice for bands who either are starting out or have been out for a while, but looking to, like, grow up to that next level? Yeah, just curious from your point of view. I know you talk to a whole lot of bands, and just curious where you see, like, those sticking points or those blocks.
I think you have to look, at least initially, very pro. Like, have your social media, have good art, have just look professional. I mean, like, your music has to be good too,
Mhm,
obviously, but if visually I see something, I'm like, this looks like shit. Like, I don't know that I would go further. It's just like, just so like, make sure your product's good, but make sure like you have the display
mhm.
good too. And going off that, like, just make sure your stuff is really good. One thing I pride myself on is, in the show that I host on Saturday nights from 9 to 10 o'clock on Fuzz 96.1,
Mhm,
is the quality of uh, music.
mhm,
There's two other stations in our market that also do a local show. One's been doing it for maybe 20 years. The other one started it after I started mine. Um, and I think we're all different. Um, I kind of go deeper, and I think I take more effort into, finding new bands, promoting their upcoming shows, promoting where they can get the music, promoting if they have merch, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the other ones are just kind of more of a playlist. One of them kind of plays older, some of the stuff that was like popular in the 90s locally and stuff like that.
mhm.
Again, it's fine. It just, you know, sometimes they pound their chest over things that, I don't think are helping, but that's for a different day. Um, just make sure your stuff sound. I mean, like, it's so easy to record music now, right?
Yeah, really.
Um, so I mean, don't try and make a bunch of shit. Like, if you're trying to like get songs in the hands of people that you know want music, like, make sure it sounds good.
Mhm.
And as I say that, with a podcast that's across the internet that sounds like dog shit, but I know that. I know that. But yeah, just be pro about it, and be aggressive. Like, the days, I think, of bars kind of finding you
Yeah.
are kind of probably over. So you have to kind of
Mm.
like find them and show them why. Like, hey, like, we just did a show 10 miles from here that we packed the place with 400 people. Like, and work with other bands too, network
Yes.
with other bands, get on other band shows, and reach a new audience that way. I think is important.
Awesome. All right. Well, that just takes us to about an hour. So thank you so much, Popko, coming on. You just want to give everyone one more rundown of like where they can get your all your content and that kind of stuff and follow you?
Yeah, everything is at the Popko Project. I need subscribers on YouTube.
Okay, cool. What are you at?
Let's go. The Popko
Yeah.
Project on YouTube.
All right. Are you like borderline a certain number or something? We just broke 100 and I was like, "Oh my God, 100."
Well,
Finally.
so it'll be this will be in existence. It'll be 4 years in December.
Mhm.
So I'm only at 236.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's so hard. I don't know how people get over 1,000, because I think
Yeah,
you have to get to 1,000 to like start
that's
monetizing.
the magic number.
But
Yeah.
like, you have to like get it. You have to get like 1,000 within a year, I think,
Yeah.
where
It's
it
gotta be within
resets.
a time frame. Yeah, that's the
It's
weird part.
insane. So it's
Yeah.
like any work you've done over a year, it's like, well, that's just gonna have to get 1,000 in 1 year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just say that because it's nice to see the number move a little bit every now and then.
Amen. Yeah.
But yeah, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. I take, my episodes are typically an hour, maybe an hour and a half long. I try and do my best to put up at least 3 clips from every episode that kind of make an impact. So follow me on Instagram at the Popko Project, Facebook, the Popko Project. I host a show on Saturday nights on Fuzz 96.1. If you're a listener outside of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area, you can still tune in um, on the website. I know it's kind of weird to do for a radio station, but also an app. It's a free app, Fuzz
Mhm.
96.1. But I also I dip into the Lehigh Valley area, Harrisburg. I've done stuff as far as New York State.
Cool.
It's very much I mean, at its core, it's very Wilkes-Barre Scranton based, but like, obviously, there's great music outside there, and it's not far from here. So I try and do a good job of reaching out to people outside of our area. But
Yeah, and
that's
that's so yeah, go ahead, sorry.
no, I'm good.
And that's so important, I feel like nowadays, we kind of lost the regionality of things, so, like, to have someone like you in the area is, definitely a benefit, so thank you for all your hard work in that regard, and I know you push a lot of bands, so yeah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for coming on the show. Yeah, when I anytime you wanna come back on and we can go deeper in any kinda direction, we'd be glad to have you.
Yeah, I mean, I wish my mic wasn't cutting out on you. I mean, I
Yeah,
could
that happens. What are you gonna do?
probably talk to you more about how the show started and all that kind of stuff. But
Well, let's do that again because I feel like there's a whole lot more we can dive into. So we'll figure out some other time to follow back up on all that stuff. Yeah, we'll go from there. And I just want
awesome,
to
man.
say thank you. Yeah, thank you to all of the people who jumped in on Instagram and YouTube and for commenting. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we will, I think, see you next week. I'm not totally sure, but we might have a week off. But yeah, I hope the election didn't burn everyone out too badly and all that kind of stuff. One more here really quickly. Good luck, Pete Yorn.
Yeah.
Life on a Chain is a bop. Charleston, South Carolina-based music lover here. I'm not sure how the algorithm got me here, but we'll check out both channels. Awesome.
Oh
See,
yeah,
this is exactly what I'm talking about. So
that's awesome.
very, very cool. So we really appreciate you jumping on then. I thought
No,
you actually knew him. So this is very cool to see.
no, thank you so much for having me. This is, I'm looking forward to maybe chatting again one of these days. And like I
Absolutely.
said, send me your music, as long as it's clean, no curse words and
Yep.
no crazy content. But I mean, with that being said, I mean, you're in a band, so let's set up something where we can tell more people about you too.
That'd be great, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
So yeah, we'll be in touch and I would love to keep going with this conversation as well, because I think we barely even scratched the surface. So thank you
yeah.
very much. And to everyone who was on and jumped in and chatted, we always appreciate you. And we will see